Welcome to Joe Stunner Boxing. Franchon Crews-Dezurn she's a very colourful character. I like this lady a lot. You know, she doesn't just box. She does a bit of singing, and she's a seamstress. She makes her own outfits for a ring walk and makes outfits for other fighters as well. And she seems to have her sort of fingers in a lot of pies. You know, but that's great. And she comes across in interviews as being really nice and very colourful character. And she took on, she is the WBA and WBC champion, super middleweight champion. She took on a Mexican Olympian called Citlalli Ortiz. Now, Miss Ortiz, she came in with, 25 years old, she came in with a 4-1 record. And because she's an Olympian, they've been trying to fast track her. She actually lost a split decision 8-rounder in 2022, was thinking of walking away from the sport, couldn't get any opportunities. But then this came up and, suddenly she's thinking, okay, yeah. But let's be honest here. I'm afraid Miss Ortiz is in the wrong weight division by far because she's 5'3". No way is she a 168-pounder. She's a welterweight. You know, looking at her, she's a welterweight. And she came in, I don't want to sound rude to the lady, but she had a big, spare tire around her middle. And yet she gave the far more experienced Franchon Crews-Dezurn a very serious fight. In fact, you could say that Citlalli Ortiz won this fight. It wouldn't have surprised me at all if she'd got something like a 96-94 decision. There were 10 2-minute rounds, by the way. No 3-minute rounds. Now, Franchon, the fact that she got a majority decision victory brought a lot of boos down. People were cheering for Ortiz. They thought she'd won the fight. Like I say, I think she might have edged it. This wasn't the biggest robbery ever. That's a lot of crap. But Franchon now moves to 10 wins, 2 KOs, and she's got 2 defeats. One in her debut to Clarissa Shields. I think both women were having their debuts, and she lost a unanimous decision to Clarissa. In fact, she supposedly got whitewashed. I thought she won a round, at least one round against Clarissa, but because I remember watching that fight. And then she came back and became undisputed super middleweight champ, only to lose it on a majority decision to Savannah Marshall. So Savannah walked away with all 4 belts. And then since then, Franchon has been rebuilding. The Marshall fight was in 2023, nigh on 3 years ago to the month, I think. She beat Shadaisha Green, who was undefeated in 13. She beat her on a unanimous decision. And now she's got a win over Ortiz. But it was a hard-fought win, and it was not an impressive performance by Franchon. She said afterwards, look, it was an ugly win, but an ugly win's better than a pretty defeat, which I suppose is true. But to take on an inexperienced, overweight, frankly, opponent and struggle it's not a good sign. She is 37, Franchon is. She was calling for, Clarissa Shields, maybe a rematch with Shadaisha Green or Savannah Marshall. Marshall is coming back. I think she still holds a belt, doesn't she? Super middle, because she was inactive and gave up the belts. But there was a nigh on year and a half gap between the Ortiz fight and the Green fight for Franchon. So inactivity, was a factor, definitely. But if she's going to have a chance against Shields or Marshall, or even in the rematch with Shadaisha, she's got to improve. I mean, Franchon came out very, very aggressively. And Ortiz, who's, 5 inches shorter, maybe. She was, barreling forward, I should say, because she looked like a little barrel. At Dezurn. Dezurn, you would think would have a superior physical strength, and she uses her physicality a lot, Dezurn. The first 2.5 rounds, I think there was a jab thrown. She was just going in there trying to bully Ortiz and move her around the ring. And Ortiz, to her credit, stuck with it. And then, you were thinking, well, it wasn't a mauling fight, but it was It was a scrap. I mean, there was nothing technical at all about this. This was a lot of Franchon's fights are like this. Her footwork's terrible, to be honest, and she just gets in the range and then slings a load of overhand punches. She throws punches without any real punch selection or intent other than I'm going to land. It's not like, well, I'll throw a combination and, this will be a throwaway jab to the body and then I'll bring the right hand over. None of that comes into it. It's just, I'm in range, let my hands go. And the hands, and then they fall in and they start having a row on the inside. And Ortiz gradually got into the fight more. And as Franchon's gas tank sort of lowered. But in the third round, Franchon started jabbing and she was having good success, as you would expect. A much taller, rangier woman, physically stronger, fighting in a weight division where, she's comfortable against a smaller woman fighting at least 3 weight divisions over whatever her natural weight is. And you think, okay, she's finally getting the jab going and mixing up the rough stuff with some technique. But she lost a lot of energy, and Ortiz came back into it and started to just bully her. It was strange. This little small barrel of a girl was suddenly landing big punches, and they weren't hurting Franchon, but they were having an effect in the sense that they were sapping some energy out of Franchon. And it got to the point where in the second half of the fight, Ortiz, I thought, was winning rounds on pure output. She was just outworking Franchon, and Franchon was beginning to look knackered, really sort of, is this fight over yet? It was that sort of thing. And then, that was, the rounds were kind of very, very similar. Ortiz coming forward and trying to outwork Franchon trying to be physical. She was warned, actually, at one point by the referee for, what it was, pushing the opponent down or holding or something. And also Ortiz, by about the 8th round, had a very angry-looking purple swelling across her left eye. But Franchon also had weirdly enough, over her left eye had some swelling as well. But, they weren't potentially fight-stopping injuries. It was just cosmetic stuff, really. The fight ends. It goes to the cards. Majority decision for Franchon. The crowd booed. Franchon was, as present as she always is in interviews. But no, you're going to have to do a lot better than this to be taken as a serious proposition for someone like Shields. But I do like Franchon. I think she seems like a nice lady, and she just keeps trying. She's 37. She keeps coming back, and winning belts. So I don't know. It was an ugly fight, though. What did you think of it? Did you see it? It was on DAZN. It was a part of a Dimitri Saleta promotion. Let me know what you think. Thanks very much. Just leave your comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. And also, if you could subscribe, that would be great, because we're building the channel up. I always appreciate your support. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Bye for now.